next. The purpose. The purpose of our study is to learn of how our perceptions of power and control are learned from experience. Seligman believed that when a person's efforts at controlling certain life events fail repeatedly, the person may stop attempting to exercise control altogether. If these failures happen often enough, the person may generalize a perception of lack of control to all situations, even when control may be actually possible. This person then begins to feel like a pawn of fate and becomes helpless and depressed. So my example here, you receive your math test back and you get an F. And you're like, oh, maybe I'll get it next time. Next math test, you also get an F. And you're like, oh gosh, I'm pretty dumb. And then the third math test, you also feel it. You basically just give up from there, thinking it's out of your control, but really you should have just studied more and gotten your own help. So they just became depressed from that. So this study was conducted with 2 dogs. So basically, there was a laboratory where dogs had experienced shocks that were designed to be punishing but not harmful. Later, they were placed in a shuttle box, which is a large box with 2 halves divided by a partition. An electrical current could be activated in the floor on either side of the box. When a dog was on one side and felt the electricity, it simply had to jump over the partition to the other side to escape the shock. Dogs in the escape room could stop the shocking by pressing the panels on each side of its head. For the non-escape room, each dog was paired with a dog in the escape room. Identical shocks were given, but really the only difference was one of the dogs had the power to escape the barrier, basically. They were looking for, on average, from the time the light in the box went out they were looking for, on average, from the time the light in the box went out until the dog jumped the barrier, and the percentage of dogs in each group that failed entirely to learn to escape the shocks. So I basically just threw out here, this is the non-escape room, where you get the electrical shocks, but you just can't escape, so you just kind of have to deal with it. With this one, when this dog gets the electrical shocks, they can touch the panels on either side of their head, and they just can jump over the partition. So some of the results were that normally dogs and other animals learn the escape behavior very quickly. In fact, if a signal warns the dog of the impending electrical current, the animal will learn to jump over the partition before the shock and thus avoiding it completely. However, in Seligman's experiment, when the dog that had already experienced electrical shocks from which they could not escape were placed in the shuttle box, they did not learn this escape avoidance behavior. In the escape group, the time it took for the dogs to press the panel and stop the shock quickly decreased over the 64 shocks. In the no escape room, panel pressing completely stopped after 30 trials. So basically, like I had, there's dog 1 in the no escape, and dog 2 in the escape room. They could touch the panels and jump over the partition. But when you switch the 2 dogs, dog 1 over here now and dog 2 over here, the first dog couldn't figure out that the panels would stop the shocking, so he was not able to jump over the partition in the escape room because he didn't learn from that in the no escape room. A big takeaway is that from the experiment alone is that the reason the escape box subjects performed normally in the shuttle box was that they had learned in the harness phase that their behavior was correlated with the termination of the shock. Therefore, they were motivated to jump the barrier and escape from the shock. For the non-escape group, the termination of shock in the harness was independent of their behavior. We now understand that individuals are more likely to become depressed if they attribute their lack of control causes that are permanently rather than temporary related factors within their own personality and pervasive across many areas of their life. So kind of like I had on the first one, this person's trying to shoot a basketball, but he misses and says, "Shoot, I missed." And the second one, he misses again. It says, "Oh, I missed again." And the third one, it says, "I'm sad that and I missed again because he shot it over this time." And the final one, he said, "I'm quitting forever because I cannot make this shot." So he basically associates not making the shot with basketball with him quitting basketball altogether.